Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to another Mathconnect tutorial. In this lesson, you'll learn how to multiply and divide fractions. The only requirement you'll need for this lesson is an ability to multiply. So, as multiplication is the simpler of the two, we should start there. Now there's a rule that you need to follow, and that is top times top over bottom times bottom. What do I mean by that? Let's look at an example. Let's say I wanted to multiply 1/2 by 1/3. The rule says I need to multiply the top two numbers. So that would be 1 times 1 over bottom number multiplied by the other bottom number, which is 2 times 3. So we know 1 times 1 is 1, and 2 times 3 is 6. And there's your answer, 1/6. Let's take a look at another example. Say we have 3/5, and I wanted to multiply that by 3/2. Again, we take a look at the rule, and it says top times top. So that would be 3 times 3 over 5 times 2, which is the bottom times the bottom. 3 times 3, you know, is 9. 5 times 2 is 10. And there's your answer. I'd like you to have a go now. So give this a try. 4/5 multiplied by 1/9. Pause the video, take a look at the rule, and see how you go. How did you do? So what does the rule say? Top number times top number. So it'll be 4 times 1 over 5 times 9. So 4 times 1 we know is 4. 5 times 9, oops, is 45. So let's do one more before we move on to division. So I'd like you to try this one out. 2/7 multiplied by 4. Again, pause the video. This one's a little bit tricky, but I'm sure you'll manage to figure it out. Okay, how did you go? Did you follow the rules? Now, if you take a look at that number 4, that's quite interesting because it doesn't look like a fraction. But, as you know, the number 4 could be written as 4/1. And there you go. It's now a fraction. So follow the rules. Top times top, which is 2 times 4, over 7 times 1. 2 times 4 we know is 8. 7 times 1 is 7. And there's your answer. So now that you know how to multiply fractions, let's move on to division of fractions. Dividing fractions is very similar to the multiplication of fractions, except there's a few steps that we need to go through first. Let's assume that we wanted to do 2/5 divided by 3/7. The first step would be to rewrite the first fraction. So let's do that. 2/5 stays as 2/5. The second step would be to change the sign from divide to a multiply. So let's do that. The third step would be to invert the second fraction. So let's do that. The second fraction, as you see, is 3/7. So when you invert it, it becomes 7/3. The final step would be to complete the problem using multiplication. So, as you know, top times top over bottom times bottom. So the top is 2 times 7. The bottom is 5 times 3. So 2 times 7 is 14. 5 times 3 is 15. And there's your answer, 14 over 15. I'd like you to have a go now. So let's try 4/5 divided by 3/8. Let's see if you remember the rules. So step one is, that's right, we rewrite the first fraction, 4/5. Step two, there's a division sign. We change that to a, that's right, multiplication sign. The third step, do you remember what that is? That's right, we invert the second fraction. So 8 over 3 becomes 3 over 8. And the very, very final step, you should get this by now. It's now a multiplication problem, so it'll be 4 times 3. Remember, top times top, over bottom times bottom. So 5 times 8. 4 times 3, you know, is 12. 5 times 8, you know, is 40. And there's your answer. So let's see you try one for yourself. 7 over 6 divided by 2 over 3. Pause the video and see how you go. Okay, how did you go? Do you remember the rules? Step one, that's right, we rewrite the first fraction. Step two, that's right, we change the division into a multiply. And the final step, we invert the second fraction. That's right, 3 over 2. Now it becomes a multiplication problem. Again, as you will recall, top times top, 7 times 3, bottom times bottom, 6 times 2. 7 times 3 is 21. 6 times 2 is 12. And there's your answer. Let's try a couple of more questions. What if we had 2/3 divided by 4? Now remember back to the example we did for the multiplication, that the number 4, or any number, can be written as a fraction. So there's your clue. So take a couple of seconds, pause the video, and try this one out for yourself. How did you go? Okay, so if we follow the steps, rewrite the first fraction, it'll be 2 over 3. We change the divide sign into a multiplication sign. Now, number 4 is actually 4 over 1. So when we invert this, it becomes 1 over 4. Again, we have a multiplication problem. Top times top, 2 times 1. Bottom times bottom, 3 times 4. And the answer is 2 over 12. Let's try one final one. We'll try the same one as the top, divided by, but instead of 4, I will do 1 over 4. And see how you go. How did you go? Again, rewrite the first fraction, 2 over 3. Change the division into a multiply. Now, 1 over 4, when you flip it, it becomes, that's right, 4 over 1. Now we have a multiplication problem again. So top times top, 2 times 4. Bottom times bottom, 3 times 1. So 2 times 4, you know, is 8. 3 times 1, you know, is 3. And there is your answer. So guys, remember that mathematics is all about repetition. The more you repeat this and the more you practice, the more these steps and rules will become second nature to you. As always, if you enjoyed this video or found it useful, please support the channel by subscribing and spread the word. This has been a Mathconnect tutorial. I will see you in the next one.